Welcome to the Screener College Basketball Podcast with your hosts, Mike Randle and Gus Kearns.
We are back again for the Screener Podcast, folks. It is Wednesday, November 2nd. This is Mike Randle here with Gus Kearns as always. Gus?
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, however you may be listening to the Screener Podcast, everyone.
And don't ever question our dedication to this podcast, because to let you know right now, it is the sixth inning of Game 7 of the World Series. Right now, the Cubs are up 5-3 over the Indians. We have no idea who's going to win. But you know what we're talking? We're talking college basketball.
Mike Randle, in-game update.
In-game update, folks. So hopefully you will listen to this and you're watching the game. But we're so psyched, Gus. The regular season starts next Friday, November 11th. We're a little over a week away. My heart's pounding.
I think we can start getting a little giddy about the season. The baseball season is coming to an end. Football season is hitting its midseason lull. Your favorite team may find its bye. College football season has kind of just caught your attention with the playoff show on Tuesday night. But really, the big news is NCAA basketball season is going to get started next week.
And that's exciting. And Gus is excited. I mean, Gus is certainly more excited than the 16 total rushing yards that Russell Wilson has right now, by the way, which is not helping my fantasy team, Gus.
In Russell we trust. Come on, Seahawks.
Just a 5-yard run, Gus? That's all I'm looking for on Sunday. Anyway, they got the Bills at home. I think they'll be all right. Anyway, so we have a bunch of stuff to talk to you about today. We're going to start with a celebration because I believe, Gus, life is about celebrations. We don't have enough. We are very, very happy. We're going to celebrate that Isaiah Brock can actually play college basketball. Let's talk about it.
So we went ahead and gave you a preview of the teams that we really enjoyed, really liked, really looking forward to watching last few podcasts. Mike gave you his Randle rant on the Phi Slamma Jamma. Which was, again, a celebration of something amazing.
I may leave right now and watch it again.
Just please, if you haven't put your eyes on it, please put your eyes on that 30 for 30. It was amazing.
We use the dunk to intimidate. We use the dunk to humiliate.
So along with the celebration of those teams, that program, we wanted to celebrate that Isaiah Brock, an incoming freshman at Oakland University, is eligible to play college basketball this season. We would like to congratulate the NCAA for finally getting it right after a bunch of deliberation. We would like to congratulate Oakland University and Greg Camp, Coach Camp, for extending the invitation to Isaiah.
Smart man.
To Isaiah
well
Brock.
Done.
And we just want to go ahead and try to recap the story a bit for you so you're educated on this, because this is something that sports brings to light, that this happens kind of every day in every walk of life. But because it just happens to be in a sport that we love and has media attention, it's bringing light, it's illuminating us to view and celebrate bigger things.
Yeah, and what I love about this, Gus, is the fact that life is not black and white. We have to have rules, otherwise we'll have anarchy, and we have to have discipline. But there needs to be exceptions for rules. We need to sit back and use that, are we getting this right, summary thought process? And the NCAA was not doing that, but they did come to their senses about Brock.
So we'll go ahead and try to rehash some of the story for you and recap it. And then, celebrate that he is eligible to play for the Grizz this year. So we wanted to start with he's 22 years old. Greg Camp, who you might have remembered his name last year. He got to coach Kay Felder, who was a numbers machine last year.
No one loved Kay Felder more than me. I moved on to Dylan Brooks, okay? But no one loved Kay Felder. I wanted him in the tournament so badly, and I was so happy to see him get drafted with the 54th pick with the Atlanta Hawks. Well deserved.
And you know what? I think at last check, I think he was on the Cavalier bench.
He is.
Yeah.
And when you do the drive and kick with LeBron, Kay will make those shots.
I think it will. I think he will too.
Buckets.
He had Benson a few years back, who was also an NBA player. He always plays an aggressive schedule early.
That's the way to do it.
He's always upset ready.
Yep.
Camp does it the right way for a mid-major. So we want to go back and tell the little story about Isaiah Brock. Camp and a whole bunch of other coaches went overseas to run some clinics and some tournaments for some of the U.S. soldiers. It just so happens that he went to where Brock was serving. They go ahead and run their scrimmage, and Brock obviously really stands out as an athlete. He was a 6-foot guard in high school and then shot up 8 inches once he joined the military. So he has all these guard skills in this big body, which is like a familiar story. And Brock served in Kuwait. He served in Afghanistan.
Much respect.
The thing that really catches your attention with this story is the service that he provided to our country, the service that he provided to the country in his with his troops.
You can't tell me that someone who graduated in 2011, then serves for 4 years in the Army, should be held accountable for what they did in 2011.
So he served over 4 years, and during his service, his job was extracting soldiers from the battlefield.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I mean, all those jobs, much respect for our military, protecting our country, especially now with what goes on in the world, is crazy. But that job is even more impressive. I mean, my goodness. Gosh.
He's been in firefights. He's been on the front line of battle for our country.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay taking a free throw at the end of the game.
I think so.
I kind of think he can handle that pressure, don't you? Yeah.
So his story is a similar story for many, student athletes in high school. He had low test scores that didn't meet the academic standards.
Yep.
The grades that he received in certain classes didn't meet the NCAA provisional standards. And so he was originally ruled ineligible as a student athlete at Oakland. The scholarship that he was awarded by Coach Camp was still in place, and he was able to practice with the team. So while he was doing this, he took 2 summer classes, A's and B's, 2 online classes, A's and B's.
Right. He took classes. It's not like he never educated himself since 2011. Oh, by the way, he was serving in the Army, so one could argue that would be fine. But he did take and did very well in classes.
So he showed that he can handle a college workload. He's a decorated Army War veteran. He served the National Defense Service Medal, among many other accolades for his service for our country. So he's had such an impact at Oakland already on his teammates and on the university that he's already taken to tutoring some of his fellow teammates.
This story just gets even more ridiculous. I don't even know why we had to wait this long, but go ahead.
So the original ruling for the NCAA goes ahead and tells Coach Camp and Isaiah Brock that he can keep his full scholarship. Now you may ask, why is the GI Bill not involved here? Mm-hmm. When the GI Bill is put into place and a soldier goes ahead and goes to college, there are some financial holes in the GI Bill that a athletic scholarship has more coverage for the student athlete or for that student than the GI Bill. Not poo-pooing the GI Bill or saying it's a bad idea, but it just gives more coverage and gives the student athlete a little bit more. Gives him a little bigger cushion. So he was ruled that he can practice, but he could not play. So Brock and Oakland and Coach Camp obviously put up an appeal.
Darn right they should have.
So I think our biggest problem with this is that why couldn't this be right the first time?
Yeah, it shouldn't, the appeal process, everything, and don't compare it to the pros. I don't want to hear about when Ndamukong Suh steps on someone's ankle and there's an appeal. This one is logical. I don't understand why when this situation first came up, the ruling didn't even it came out negative. We just told you the story. You're sitting on the other end, you're listening to this podcast right now. Are you voting that this guy should not play? We don't even know why it got to that point.
So I think what Screen the Screener is trying to champion here is that Brock's life experience should absolutely trump any number or letter grade on a piece of paper or a transcript, without question, every single time.
Every time. And we at Screen the Screener would have just allowed him to play without taking classes. I can say this, Gus, I understand why they needed to see some sort of academic record. I do.
Sure.
We would have just put him through because let's look at the big picture here, what he's doing. But I get it. He still had that. So there was no excuse.
I mean, is being in a firefight on enemy ground, isn't that good enough to make up for maybe a D in a high school math class?
Come on. Of course.
Screen the Screener shouts yes, announces yes, over and over and over again that yes, that should trump that every single time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, anyway, clap it up. Well done. We're very happy that we're going to see him on Oakland. Very happy for Isaiah Brock. We love the small school. We love Oakland. Dangerous. I wanted Felder in that tournament. I think he could have been a first-round pick if he got a little more exposure. So we're so happy for the Oakland Grizz.
So if you are, have the opportunity to see him play in person, please give him a standing ovation if he is in the starting lineup.
100%.
And applaud his efforts for his country and applaud that the NCAA got it right on this one. And you know what I was thinking too, like during the appeals process?
Yep.
Like, wouldn't just a letter or a note or a phone call from some of the luminaries would have got this done in 2 seconds?
Yeah.
What if David Robinson calls?
Sure.
Possibly the most decorated, most famous military graduate.
Absolutely.
In the NBA. What about Coach K?
Yep.
West Point ties.
Yep.
What about Coach Knight?
A
call from any one of those guys definitely would have pushed us in the right direction a lot quicker.
No doubt. And I feel like they were waiting in the background to see if this went through. I could not envision a situation where this appeal would have been ruled that he could not play, he could only practice. I feel like one of those would have said something. But we agree, whether it's Robinson, Krzyzewski, Knight, somebody could have stepped up. And tying in nicely to what we're going to talk about in a minute, what we mentioned last time, speaking out now, especially with social media, just comes with the territory. Remember, Michael Jordan got criticized for many, many years about not getting involved in political issues. But you've seen now with LeBron and a lot of the other big-time athletes, you have this form. You've been blessed. You have this ability where you're going to have to affect so many people who follow you. I mean, they don't follow the math professor this much. You don't have that many math professors getting Twitter followers like the people we're going to talk about in a minute. You have to use it to your advantage.
And then I think the last thing, if you just wanted to know more information about the story, we highly suggest Gary Parrish's article.
Definitely.
CBS Sports. It's a great read. He did an unbelievable job with it, much like he does with everything else he puts his energy towards. So if you need more information, just go Google that. Google Gary Parrish, CBS Sports, and Isaiah Brock. That article will come up and you'll be really educated on the situation. We applaud him for putting some light and a spotlight on the situation.
Yep.
And we're just, again, celebrate, clap it up that Isaiah Brock gets to play.
Very happy. Gary Parrish, great article. Thank you. NCAA, you got it right. Nice job out of you. That's our first story. Now where are we going to go?
You know where we're going to go? We're going to reflect back upon what we were talking about a little bit last podcast.
Down, screen, back, screen, down. I'm sorry.
We're going to head